piece that you might need. It's an old-fashioned round table style of net. I'll take check-ins and get everybody lined up, and then we will carry on from there. The mode is amplitude modulation. Everybody's welcome to join, even though we favor vintage gear. If you've got that little knobless, soulless black box hooked to a computer, we'll talk to you too. So, for those wishing to participate in Sunday's net, please give W4MEC a call and come now.
Charlie, WA4LLR.
N4LQ.
WF2U.
WB4ARK.
WB4NKL.
KZ4 Bravo.
K4GDN.
K1PVC.
W4KR.
KJ4YEV.
KN4R.
November 4 Alpha Kilo N4 AK.
K4 VWD.
I knew Lee was in there. I heard his carrier test a little earlier, so very good. Beautiful signals. So far, we've got WA4LLR, N4LQ, WF2U, WB4ARK, WB4NKL, KZ4B, K4GDN, K1VVC, W4KR, KJ4YEV, KN4R, N4AK, and K4VWD. So who did I miss, or who got stepped off?
Radio. Level testing.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. A little sideband in the distance, but it's okay. And to double check the list here, just make a note of who you follow and who comes after you, and it'll proceed smoothly. So we got Dave LLR, Steve LQ, Amir 2U, Buddy ARK, Cliff NKL, John 4 Bravo, George GDN, John VVC, Stan KR, Al YEV, Brian 4R, Glenn AK, and Lee VWD. So that's our list so far. Maybe we'll pick up a couple stragglers. I forgot to send the 4 p.m. net time to the other half of the Old Friends group, which are not on the .io chain. But I don't think anybody on that link, that group checks in. So I'll double check and make sure. But anyway, it's a beautiful day here. The temperature was about 59, and I don't know what it is now. And beautiful clear skies. We got a new fire burning up on the Cliffs area, which is kind of between Nashville and Hendersonville to the west, and it's was 100% contained last night, but we've had some good winds here today. I don't know what it's doing. We got some ding-dong down the road burning leaves. I hope he doesn't burn the neighborhood down, but we'll keep a lookout here and have the hose ready. So let's get started with Dave, WA4LLR in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, fine business. W4MEC and the old friends, WA4LLR. Good afternoon to everybody. Good copy on all so far. Everybody's sounding really good. 63 degrees, absolutely beautiful out there. No wind and crystal clear skies. I was doing a little observing with my solar telescope before the net time, and some new sunspot activity rotating into view. So hopefully the solar activity will increase and the upper bands will really be popping here before long. Had a good Sunday so far, good church service, followed by our Thanksgiving meal, and that's always a good time. So let's see, it goes down to Shelby. Steve, how's it going? N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. 30 over Charlie, 30 over for Dave. I'll try to keep an eye on the meter here and see, but I think everybody is super strong, sounding good. And 59 degrees, sunny here, and hoping for a big rain Tuesday. They keep raising the amount. It's up to like 1.3 inches, I believe. So heading up there to 2 inches, I hope. Anyhow, running the AF-68 here, and admiring new product on the market. They have come out, they reinvented the stereo speaker now. The latest rage is the open baffle speaker. All it is a flat, beautiful, about an 1.5 inch thick piece of wood of some sort with speakers screwed on the back of it and a stand holding it up. And some of them are going for $8,000 to $10,000. No box, no baffle, no port, no nothing. Just amazes me how technology keeps improving. So, good morning, Mirror WF2U. Good morning, good evening, whatever. WF2U, N4LQ.
To N4LQ and the group, this is WF2U. Good evening, everybody. Nice afternoon. It's 62 degrees here right now. According to the digital weather station here, and sunny, and everybody's coming in with great signals. Charlie, you are about 20 over 9, plus minus a couple dBs, a little bit of QSB. The bend is quiet. Dave, you were also 20 over, and Steve 20 over. Really nice signals. I'm running the multi-Elmac station, the AF-68. Actually, it's in crystal control. I have a crystal for this frequency. And the receiver is a PMR7 with a factory power supply that has the S-meter in it. And the antenna is an 80-meter end fed at about 45 feet. I have to tighten it a little bit because it's sagging, but only when I can see the wire going through the tree, because I don't want to break it. Anyway, so with that it goes through Buddy. W4ARK. This is WF2U.
WF2U, WB4ARK. Okay, Mia. Good signal into Lake Wiley this afternoon. The temperature was about 62 at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, I think it's cooled off a little bit since then. The weather has been beautiful today. Almost no clouds in the sky. And very, very light breeze this afternoon. And it started out about 42, I think, this morning at about 7 o'clock. So, with that, over to WB4NKL. This is WB4ARK.
WB4ARK is WB4NKL. Good signals all the way around. The 4 o'clock sounds like it's going to work out fine here as far as signals go. Got about 60 degrees and pretty nice day out. Been a busy weekend. I left here at 6. Me and Chuck
N4IYQ left here about 6 o'clock a.m. Friday morning. Went up to Fire Radio Sales and spent some time there, and then we left there, and Chuck had found a guy with some radios in a storage shed in Toledo, Ohio. So we left Fire Radio, went on up to Toledo, Ohio, and checked all that out. And then we left there and went to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Got over there about 10-something Friday night, and then we spent the night and took in the Fort Wayne Ham Fest Saturday and left up there and come back home. Got back in about 10:30 last night. So it's been a busy weekend, a lot of road miles, but we had a good time. So send it on around. Go ahead, John. KZ4B, it's WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL in the group. This is KZ4B. Fine business here, Cliff. Good coffee. The propagation's a little better later on, but this is not bad. I hope it holds. Nice day today. I tell you, I think it's the last hurrah, and we're going to pay dearly with a cold winter. We'll see. But the strange thing is the lake is the lowest I believe I've seen it in 30 years. They keep dropping it and dropping it and dropping it. Buddy, I don't know how things look on Lake Wiley, but it is really, really low. And it's a shame I don't have anything to do on my pier piling-wise, because this is the time to do it. I was out working on my water tank, and Brian called and said they changed it to 4 o'clock. So I greatly appreciate that, Brian. I thought the last I heard it was up in the air. And they were maybe going to leave it where it was, but this is fine. Again, thank you, Brian. And interesting thing, in excavating my water tank, I'm running through all sorts of electrical stuff piled up in my garage, and I came across a zero-center plus or minus 25 microamp meter. And the only thing, in other words, the needle's straight up, and then, if it's negative, it goes left, and if it's positive, it goes right. The only thing I can remember that a meter like that was used for was a Wheatstone bridge, where you had to balance one side with the other, and the meter determined the balance. If anybody else knows another use of a 25 microamp meter, you might share it with me. It's I'm not trying to sell the meter, I'm just curious what to use it for. And so I guess if deviation, I guess that only needs to read one way. So any comments on a zero-centered, straight up and down meter are appreciated. And with that note, I'm going to pass it on over to George. I hope I can hear you, George. You've been doing pretty good here lately. Hope it keeps up. K4GDN in the group, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B in the group is K4GDN. Yeah, everybody's coming in really well here in Myrtle Beach. I'm on the Valiant, and I guess running about 100 watts out, and receiving on HQ170A, and copying everybody quite well. It's about in the upper 60s here at Myrtle Beach. Been clear all day, and looks like it'll be that way for a couple of more days. I think we may get some rain later on in the week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not sure. But that's okay. And as far as a zero-center microamp meter, I have one sitting right here on the bench. It's in a Johnson matchbox. It's a little matchbox that didn't have a meter in it. It just had a blank or something. Anyway, I built a directional coupler for it, and I used the zero center meter. The way I've got it wired, reflected power reads downscale from zero, which is in the middle, and forward power reads upscale. So that I thought was a pretty good little use for the meter. I'm fooling to put some controls here now, but that seems to be a good use for it. I don't know. I had a couple of them, I think, at one time, but this is the only one I've ever used. But I thought that was a kind of unique thing to do with it, to put it in the directional coupler where reflective power is down and forward power is up. And like I say, everybody's coming in here quite well. The project I've got going on right now, I'm still working on the BMW 5100B. It's not loading like it should. It's just not behaving correctly at all as far as loading is concerned. As you decrease the loading capacitor, power falls off, plate current does not go up, and you don't really get a dip anymore. And so I've got the PA unit off the chassis now, and I'm going to do some checking of component values and see if I can find anything there. Everything else seems to be working okay, but the voltages are quite high. And I've, even when I'm running it on a Variac, the idle voltages are much higher than I expected. And I'm using it with the, on the 117 volt connection on the primary of the transformers. They have the ability to go to 107, but I don't think I'm ever going to use that. I just disconnected that from the switch and took it off. Anyway, that's what's going on here. And I think I won't be in Tuesday. I've got a thing I got to do with my grandson's school. But after Thanksgiving, I got another project coming in. I'll be getting a Collins 30L1, which will go on the sideband side of the station here. Maybe it'll get a little bit of control carrier from the Drake sometime. We'll see how that goes. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to John. K1VVC in the group, K4GDN.
Yeah, thanks a lot, George. K4GDN, K1VVC. Certainly seems like you're pretty busy. I think that's great. I don't have very much going on. I've been working on an Elmac K2. Had a few problems, and I think I've got it solved. It's a really nice little 15-watt radio, and seems to be working okay now. Other than that, no excitement. My son and his wife are coming, and his dog are coming from Nashville area for Thanksgiving. We have a few other guests coming over, so looking forward to that. Had a really nice lunch with Mayor on Friday. Went to one of our favorite restaurants, and I think both of us enjoyed ourselves, so worked out very well. I was sort of hoping that Reed, W2CQH, would be on. I did send him an email letting him know that we changed the time back to 4 o'clock because he was a real steady member of the group. Anyhow, Stan, let me send it to you. W4KR from K1VVC.
Okay, John, thank you. K1VVC, W4KR. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good to hear everybody. And George, my goodness, George, I can't remember the last time you were this strong. You're about 15 over 9 here this afternoon. Wow, the time change is doing you good deed here. Wow, indeed. Let's see. This afternoon, I'm running the SDR transceiver that I was using last week, and driving the 30 sugar 1 today. Putting out about let me see, it's peaking about 900 watts, something like that. About 200 watts input, or output rather, carrier. Cliff, couple of questions. Cliff, did you? I wonder how the turnout was in Fort Wayne. I'll be curious. That's a nice facility. The facility they have there. at least the facility they used to use. I assume it's the same ones. Really a nice layout, nice place, nice folks up there too. And secondly, when you were at fair, I wonder if you came back with the with the Johnson kilowatt matchbox that's still there. I guess if somebody wants a major league restoration project, there it sits. I know we'd like to get rid of it, but it tends not to go away. With that, let's see. Al, here it comes. KJ4YEV. This is W4KR.
W4KR in the net. This is KJ4YEV. Thank you, Stan. Cliff, sound like you did cover some miles this weekend. That's a lot of traveling there to do. I would like to visit Fair Radio myself sometime. I've never been up there. I know they're getting ready to close, and I hate that. But never had a chance to visit there. And John, you were talking about the lake levels. Lake Wiley is the same way. The end of people's piers are on dry land right now. I think it's about 8 feet below full pond. So we need some rain really bad. I think we're supposed to get some Tuesday. And talking about that meter you've got with the zero center, I've got one of those too. I don't need it. If anybody has a use for it, let me know. I'll give it to them. This is a big one though. It's like probably 5 or 6 inches, like about the size of the scale on a Simpson 260 DON. But it's zero center and goes negative or positive, so I don't need it. If anybody has a use for it, let me know. And with that, it goes to Brian, KN4R. So Brian, hope you had a good time at the Hamfest, KJ4YEV.
Yeah, Roger, Al. KJ4YEV in the group, KN4R. Returning. Well, very good on all. Great signals, everybody. I mean, the signals aren't as strong as sometimes they are, but they're all very, very nice, and copying everybody just great here. Let's see, Cliff, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. First of all, what did you and Chuck bring back, and what did you see that you did not bring back? And also, I wonder if there's any update on when Fair Radio will actually close. So anyway, that's my questions. Let's see. I went up yesterday and stayed with Brown, W1NZR, at his new QTH near Rocky Mount. It's actually a town called Red Oak, and a really nice spot. He's built a big old building, and it's a real education walking around in there. And I think he still has about 40% of his collection to bring down from Rhode Island. So it's unbelievable now, and it's going to be more unbelievable. So everybody here in the group needs to plan to visit Brown when the opportunity allows. And just see, the Benson Hamfest was good. Saw a 75A2, B&W 5100, the X60 and HR10 and the VFO. There was a really nice HX101A begging at $40 with a full set of capacitors. The guy said it needed to be recapped, and he was including the caps, but he hadn't done it yet. And from Brown, I brought back a BC 654A, the Crosley radio that kind of looks like a switchboard, and it happens to be on a metal stand that it was used to go in the half-track. I wish I had a half-track, but anyway, I picked up an HLA 300 amp, another solid-state amp there, and let's see, I can't think of anything else. Oh, some microphones, some condenser microphones to try out here. So, and I saw John W4JPL and his traveling ham buddy Tony, and I forget Tony's call. So anyway, we had a great time and beautiful weather, and I went up via 40 and all that mess, and it was fine, but it was a racetrack. But I came back on 401, and it was much nicer and just about as fast too. So anyway, sorry for the long-winded transmission. Take it away, Glenn. N4AK in the group, KN4R.
Okay, KN4R in the group. This is November 4 Alpha Kilo, and for a change, I'm exercising my DX100 with a D104, receiving in a Hamlin HQ180 Alpha, and the clock still works. using an end-fed half-wave antenna, the 10 through 80 meter version, and right out of the box it resonates right here on 3715, so no tuners required. It's 63 degrees here and partly cloudy here in Sunset, but absolutely a beautiful day. It looks like we might have a little bit of rain on Tuesday also. Everybody's signal is about a S9 or 15 over 9. It's amazing. I don't know what power levels, but as I'm just noticing, everybody's about 15 over 9. Steve, yours is 20 over. You're a little closer, I guess, to that super antenna that you run. Kind of some remembrances here for the month. On Saturday, the 17th, Robert Coleman, K4AWB, was 90 years old. He used to come to our luncheons. And other remembrances of some fellows that were active here on our net was Joe Gall, W4WZ. He passed away in 10 November of 21. And Ken Woodard, WA4BVW, who passed away on 12 November in 2021. Just some remembrances of some great fellows. So passing it on to you, Lee, K4VWD and 4AK.
Okay, Glenn, thank you. This is K4VWD. Well, it's 61 degrees and the sun's shining here in Greenville at my house. Don't forget, we got a luncheon coming up on December the 7th. A couple of important days that day. Not only Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, but also Hanukkah starts at sundown on that day. And but everything's fine here. I'm copying everybody just fine. And George, your signal kind of bouncing between 6 and 9, but occasionally it goes down to S2. So some QSB, but still 100% copy. And so back up to you, Charlie, W4MEC in the group, K4VWD.
Very good, Lee, K4VWD and the old friends, W4MEC. Do we have any check-ins that would like to join us? Call me now.
N4YN, I hope, over.
November 4, Whiskey Delta.
Okay, we got Don, N4YN, and Bruce, N4 Whiskey Delta. You will follow Lee, K4VWD, N4YN. Don, go ahead and make a transmission, turn it over to Bruce, and then Bruce will send it back to me, W4MEC.
Okay, Charles. I just check and make sure it's on frequency, because that's kind of iffy around here. We're in the ATD today, and what have I got for the receiver? Got my glasses off, can't tell. This is a TNC receiver. Anyway, it seems to work pretty good, except I don't use it much, and the ATD's kind of aggravating to tune up, so it doesn't get used often. Everybody's coming in here good. I just slept through the start of the net. So, pass it on to what, Bruce, I think you said, Charles. I don't know. I'm losing my operator skills. Seems like it's just floating away as I get over. Anyway, N4YN.
Okay, I think he turned it over to me. It's N4WD. He's got one heck of a carrier here, but the audio wasn't that good for me. Of course, I don't know, I guess it's QSB. I was up on 15 earlier, and it sounded like the ocean coming in and out. Signal variations and behind them. 69 degrees, clear. We're looking for some of that rain that Dave and Steve are looking for. I'll believe it when we get it here. So we'll keep it short so you can get another round in there. I haven't forgot who got net control and all my scribbling. N4WD's control.
Okie dokie, Bruce, N4WD, W4MEC. Any further check-ins that'd like to join us? Okay, heard nothing. W4MEC and the old friends. Real good round, fellas. The lowest signal was a clean S9 for both Bruce, Don, and George. Everybody else was S9 plus to 15 over, like Dave and Steve and Lee. The rest of you were like 10 over, and that's a good guess because my S meter goes from S9 to 20 over, so you're falling in that box there. And I agree with Bruce there, Don. You had a wonderful steady carrier, but very weak audio compared to some of the other signals. Yeah, you need to bump that audio pot up a little bit, mic gain there. 25 microamp center scale meter. Well, maybe not 25, that's a little small, but 50 and 100 were fairly common on FM receivers. Center scale to tell if you were tuned or if on a crystal rig if somebody was off frequency. And if you get on 2 meters today and tell somebody you're looking at their carrier with a discriminator meter, they have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. Let's see, weather radar, since we were talking about rain. If you go to the National Weather Service weather radar, you get the mosaic. But up in the upper left corner, there's an overlap box, and if you click on that, it gives you radar products, and one of them is local radar. And if you click on that, that will take you to the screen where you can pick a particular radar anywhere in the country and highlight it and see what that radar is doing. And what's interesting about GSP is it's showing a line of storms on the border between North and South Carolina, but they're not there. So I tried another radar, and it also was showing storms to the northwest and north. So there's something funny, something about Doppler radar that maybe has something to do with the mountains. Who knows? But just a little odd. I don't remember that before. Let's see, real good on Amir and John getting lunch together, just a mid-month get-together. That's great. And the best thing about church suppers, I know, Dave, is the desserts. I mean, I always check the dessert table out, and you get some of those folks can make some absolutely outstanding desserts there. And let's see, other notes I got here. One of them I can't, Handfest Finds, that sounds great. The DX100 sounds wonderful there. Glenn, I guess that's the one you stripped down to the bare chassis and had it re-copper plated. So, beautiful work on that. So, and I hope to maybe join you all on 160 here. I had a not in use Heathkit 2040 antenna tuner, and which is only 10 to 80. And one of the grievances I had was having to turn the crank on the 2060 to move from 75 to 160. So I brought it in here, and I had an old antenna specialist 3-position coax switch rated for 1,000 watts AM. It's a tiny little thing. It's about 1.5 inches by 2. And I can switch between the 2060, which does do 160 meters, and the 2040 and not have to tune anything. I guess I'm getting lazy, but I did have a Johnson Matchbox that I picked up from John a while back, and that's in Studio Bravo with my other military gear, so I still can tune my antenna. So much for that. Onward back to Dave, WA4LLR, W4MEC.
All right, fine business on everybody. W4MEC and the group, WA4LLR. All right, real good. Sorry to hear that there's a fire out there on the cliffs. Hope they get that thing squared away shortly. And let's see what else I've got a note on here. All the Elmacs sound good as usual. And Cliff, I'm with everybody else. We need a report on the Fort Wayne Hamfest, how that turned out, and what did you bring back from Fair or Fort Wayne or whoever's storage building y'all raided. Anyhow, let's see. John, fine business on the sun coming up for Thanksgiving and getting the K2 going. Sound like you made a haul at the Benson Fest, Brian. And Glenn, that DX100 sounds good. Thanks for the memories. Those were some good times. Those were great guys. And Don, you do need more audio, brother. Right now, space weather's kind of calm. Sunspot count's 29, solar flux is 127, and the K is 0.67. A few things from this day in history. On this day in 1978, the Jonestown mass suicide took place, 909 people. On this day in 1977, Anwar Sadat visited Israel and proposed a peace plan after the Arab-Israeli War of 73. On this day in 2017, Charles Manson died at the age of 83 in prison. On this day in 2007, Amazon began selling the Kindle, the wireless notepad that did a lot in popularizing ebooks. On this day in 1990, Milli Vanilli was stripped of their Grammy when it turned out they were lip syncing and not actually singing. On this day in 1962, Jodie Foster was born. Actress that one of her favorite roles for me was in Contact, where she was the ham operator and the search for SETI, which is kind of a neat one. On this day in 1863, Abe Lincoln gave his Gettysburg Address. And that's pretty much a few of the things on this day in history. So, Cliff, be sure and give us a report on everything. So back to you, Steve, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. A good all the way around, good copy here. Everybody's real strong. No trouble at all. And on N4YN, I was looking at you on the spectrum analyzer, and you are mostly upper sideband AM, and that may be why people are having trouble. Possibly if you tune your receiver a little bit toward the upper side of his signal, it might be louder, and you might even narrow your selectivity some would help. But it sounded good here from what I could hear. It was just all on one side, and I think you said it was a TMC something or another, and that's probably why one of those commercial/military things, which typically sound that way. And the 0 center meter, I've seen them on stereos like Charlie was mentioning, and null meters on Wheatstone bridges and different things. The biggest application I've seen for them is a battery charger meter on your car. The old cars, the meter set in the middle, and if it was discharging, it'd move one way and charging the other. Of course, that was probably not a microamp meter, but it was still the same principle. And who was it? George mentioned using it for an SWR. I can't really relate to that. I'm not sure how that works. Forward power one way and reflected the other, but you always want a lot more forward power. It's going to be, if you got it in the middle, I don't understand it. Maybe you can explain that. And fine on the Hamfest, Brian, and bringing back a BC, and you're looking for a half track, and so keep on the lookout for Brian for his half track. I think he needs one to put that rig in that he bought at the Hamfest. Cliff, we're dying to hear if you had to rent a U-Haul. I wonder how you all got back. I heard some guys up north this morning on the the DX60 net talking about how good the Fort Wayne Hamfest was and how much stuff they brought back. And they were also talking about how cheap it was. So, anyway, and Stan, I wanted to compliment you on your audio for I think it's an Anon you're running. It's not real bassy. Like so many of the Anon crew, they tend to turn the bass up real loud and just drown everything out, but you got it set right. It's nice and crisp and penetrates through the noise quite well. Very good job on that. So over to you, Mayor, WF2U on the AF-67's N4LQ.
Yeah, Roger. N4LQ and the net. This is WF2U. Yeah, very good. Hey, well, just wanted to get a little peak reading here. Okay. The AF-67 is putting out 55 watts on peak with about, let's see, 35 watt carrier. And everybody's coming in great. And the PMR7 has really nice audio, and it's hooked up to a nice bookshelf speaker. So it sounds really good, and plenty of audio. I can make myself deaf here with full volume. Anyway, yeah, interesting, Brian, about that photo with the vertical keys. Looks like it's like a home built. Is this guy building keys, and how much were they? Just to get an idea. And I like the way they look. I don't like the pedal on them, but just an idea. And of course, Cliff about the trip there. That's Fair Radio. Yeah, I've been in contact with Phil there for like almost 2 months. I asked him to look for a UGC 129 airborne teletypewriter, which is nice and compact, because I want to get on teletype with the Midwest Military Radio Collectors Group. Yeah, he said he'll look for it. He knows that he has some, and I remind him like every week or so, and he didn't get to it yet. I think I'm giving up on it. The only reason is that I wanted to do it in the shack in case I didn't feel like going out to the GRC 142 shelter where I have the teletype set up with a GRC 106. But sometimes I don't feel like going out there, and if I'm in the shack, I could use some different equipment. I have other military equipment that would work with that. But I don't want to carry a big teletype machine, so that's why I was looking for a more modern airborne one, which is basically like a digital typewriter. But with the RTCY circuiting to drive it. And what else? Don, I didn't hear you went a little weak from when you started, and I hear Steve saying that you said you're using some TMC stuff. Well, I don't know. The only reason that AM might be further on one sideband is that if you're using the TMC multi-mode exciter, it has a separate audio channel to each sideband because it's capable of independent sideband transmission. So if you insert the carrier you have to insert the audio levels on both sides. About the, I have that equipment, and I always had to use a scope to make the AM look decent. You know, to set the carrier and then the sidebands correctly. Otherwise, it's like off. It's a little bit off. And yeah, you could set it to do only one sideband with carrier, but you don't have to because you just have to use both audio channels that feed the exciter. Steve, everything that, just for your information, if you could be talking about TMC, all the TMC sideband equipment has both sidebands, so, and the AM capability. So it's a regular AM, so that shouldn't be a problem if it's set correctly. Anyway, so yeah, we had a nice lunch with John. Haven't seen each other for many weeks. I was busy and following what's going on in with the war in the Middle East, and I have actually distant relatives that one of them was murdered, and then the family, the rest of the family are captives, and so I'm following exactly what's going on. And, it's not directly related to me, but it's my second cousin's sister-in-law's family. So anyway, so I'm glued between all the stuff that's going on in the world. I'm a newsaholic, and I'm listening to a lot of local news from there, also everything else, and work around the house. So I haven't been doing much with radio lately. Anyway, so that's from this end. So everybody else is, everybody has great signals, 5.9 plus, except Don and Bruce were a little bit weaker about S8 and a little QSC. So WB4ARK, this is WF2U.
WF2U, WB4ARK. John, KZ4B, John. You didn't mention the size of the meter. And was it round? Our lake level here is pretty low. I think it's the lowest I have ever seen it. Going up the 4-lane road, 274 to toward 49, the Lowe's intersection. You look off to the right where the cove comes in, and when you cross the bridge, there's so much land, I would say, for lack of a better word, dirt, showing that it's just a huge area. I mean, it's extremely large. So I've never seen anything that big an area showing before. Let's see what else we got here. Stan, you mentioned you were using the 30S1. Does your 30S1 still have the thermal detector that swings out over the tube to detect loss of airflow? Just curious if yours still has it, and is it working? And Cliff, yes, I would like to know about Fair Radio, what equipment is still left, if you kind of took a gander at that, and how is Phil doing, and what did you bring back? That would be nice to know. I won't hold it here. We'll get it on down the road. So over to WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
Yeah, WB4ARK. It's WB4NKL. Okay. I'll begin at Fire Radio. Talking to Phil, he says he's going to try to keep it open probably through May. I guess that's coincide with the Dayton or Xenia Hamfest. Maybe get some traffic from that. But I asked him, well, what's going to happen? And he's talked maybe an auction, or maybe he can find a buyer. So I'm hoping somebody down here closer to Tennessee or North Carolina that's got a big warehouse will buy everything and move it all here and keep that resource going, because there's a huge amount of stuff there. It's we stayed for 2 hours, and I dug around and looked and and tried to take it in, and I didn't see all of it. They just rows and rows of parts, and it's stuff all the way from, it's probably been there since 1946 when they opened. But there's a huge amount of stuff. So I recommend if anybody is into that kind of stuff and wants to make the trip to plan on doing that before May. And take a flashlight. The lighting's not real good, and part of it's in a heated section, and then he's got a section behind that that's not heated, so you need to be prepared for cold also if you go in the winter time. And he's, Phil says he's got signs up, says he wants to deal, but he's not having a fire sale. I picked up 2 things digging around. I picked up a Gonset power supply that he had sitting on a shelf that went with the G66 77 series, and he had 45 on it. It's a little rough, and so I asked him about a deal, and he come down to 40. So that's the kind of deals he's making. I also picked up the transmitter section out of a WRL early Globe Champ, and he come down about $10 on it. I think he had 50, and he come down to 40. And got some tubes. I think he has sold all his tubes, or pending sale, but I did buy a couple tubes from him, which he wanted catalog, what he's got in his catalog prices for them. So that's about covers Fire Radio, I guess. Went on up to the guy's storage shed. He had a huge amount of stuff in a storage shed, and he was an eBay guy, but he was dealing, he looked at the eBay price, and he'd come off of it, or you could make him offer. Anyway, I picked up 2 Harvey Wells transmitters at that site, a TBS 50D and a T90, and also a TCS Navy receiver he had. And that's one thing I'm looking for now, is a plug to fit that TCS receiver, if anybody's got one of those in their stash. I think it's a 12-pin Amphenol. And then we left from there in the Fort Wayne Hamfest. I've never been before, but I thought it was good, and it filled up one section of that big stadium or venue that they got up there. The guys I talked to said years back it filled up that and an adjacent room and a basement. So they were down to one big room, but there was a lot of stuff there. I didn't really. I picked up a set of Elmacs, receiver and transmitter and power supply for Mark, a friend of mine down here in Greenville, and a few parts is all I ended up with from the Fort Wayne Hamfest. But I enjoyed it. Might consider going back sometime. And let's see, John KZ4B, the 50 microamp meters, that's, I'm thinking discriminator meter. That's what Motorola used in their bench test set. They had a center scale 50 microamp, and it was 25 microamps either side of the center, but that was to monitor the center frequency or setting your discriminator in the FM receiver. So that's another use. Send it on around. Go ahead, John. KZ4B, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL in the group. KZ4B, fine business, Cliff. A good copy as usual. Buddy, that meter I have is a 3.5 inch space, and it's obviously for balance and not for reading the 25 plus and minus microamps, because it just says, you know, it's 0 in the middle, negative 25 microamps, and plus 25. The negative scale is red and the plus is green. So it's definitely a balance monitoring meter. No doubt about that. And years ago, there was some scientific project that I was doing, and I can't remember what it was that needed a meter like that. And I really wanted to have it, and, you know, now I have it, and I can't remember the project. But, you know, that's what I get for being old. Shifting gears and speaking about fair radio sales, I went there one time. I was working, installing electric arc furnaces in the Steel Dynamics plant in Butler, Indiana, which is not that far from Lima, or Lima, Ohio. I think they call it Lima. And I drove across, and I didn't realize there was a time change. I did it on a late Friday, and I only got to be in the store for about an hour. So I had to do a rush check of what was there. But I bought 3 Bud, brand new in the box, Bud Classic rack cabinets, 7 inches high, 7 units high. They're perfect for these Tintec mounting kits. So I have 2 of my Titan amplifiers are in those Bud cabinets. It was a classic deluxe cabinet, and I've got an Omni 6 Plus that's in one. And they look like $1 million, and they damn near cost that. When I got home, this is in the mid-90s, and the cabinets were like $500 or $600 a piece, and I paid $35 new in the box, and the guy had a stack of 10 or 12 of them there at fair. I should have bought every last one of them, because I could have used every one, but I only had room to haul 3 back, so I bought 3, and that was a steal, because they're about the best looking rack cabinets. These are, you know, table cabinets, and just absolutely gorgeous cabinets. And but that's about the only thing I bought when I was there. But I'd heard about it all my life, and I had been getting their catalogs for the last 10 or 20 years before that, and had bought some stuff through the mail. But I hate to see that resource go away. That's like losing, what is ESCR, the tube outfit in Florida. I don't know where those tubes went, but you need sources like that. And so anyway, it was that's the heaviest shopping I ever did in an hour. Absolutely. That's about all I've got. Again, Buddy was talking about the lake being low. I have, like I say, I don't think it's been this low in 30 years. And so it's perfect, you know, for doing pier work and or arrowhead hunting. It's great for Indian arrowhead hunting. Although here on Lake Norman, I have had very little luck. I grew up in the Lexington area, Lexington, North Carolina, and used to do a lot of arrowhead hunting on High Rock Lake and Abbott's Creek, and I found tons of arrowheads up there. And I understand around Uwharrie the hunting is most excellent, but maybe Indians didn't. I guess the Catawbas didn't hang out much on the Catawba River, or they were really chintzy with their arrows. I don't know, but I just haven't found anything much around here. But the thing is that the lake here is normally not low enough to find anything, and so when the water's up, the water's too murky generally to use scuba gear. So I think old Buzzer did enough. So George, take it away, and I am copying you pretty good. K4GDN in the group, KZ4B, clear but listening.
KZ4B in the groups, K4GDN. Yeah, I'm still copying everybody fairly well. Marvin was a little weak, and but I copied most of what he had, and I could hear Bruce too. And I think somebody mentioned that they saw a B&W 5100 somewhere. Well, I'm still playing with mine. The only thing I found that looks a little suspect is the output coupling capacitor. Looks like it might have dripped a little wax, but it's still reading the right number of picofarads on a meter. Of course, that's not at the higher voltage where it should be. So I may replace it with something and see what I can get. It's really been a good net. I've enjoyed listening. Things are really nice. Hope that it stays this well. I don't think I'll be in Tuesday, but hopefully I'll be back. And I probably won't be here Thanksgiving Day either. We're going to go down to Charleston to see my brother and a couple of my sisters. So with that, I'm going to say 73 on this round, but I'll probably listen till the end of it. Anyway, if anybody's got any comments, I'll be able to come back. But Charlie, really appreciate you calling the net. You're coming in quite well here. And one thing I might mention, on this Valiant I've got, it's looking for a new home if anybody's interested. Hopefully I'll get the 5100 going, and it'll take the place of the Valiant. So with that, I'm going to say 73. Pass it on to you, John. K1VVC in the group, K4GDN.
Yeah, thanks very much, George. And really good signal you're coming through. Terrific today. This time change, everybody is coming through really, really well. And at least with no background noise from sideband. So I think it was probably a good move to do it. And I don't know anything about what's going on with the lake, so my pond here next to the house has dropped about 2 inches maybe, so I don't have much problem. So not much to say here. Charlie, thanks a lot for doing the net today. I'll be listening on for everybody also, and pass it along to Stan. W4KR. Oh, and by the way, as far as I used to go up to the Waynesville Hamfest every year. I went the years that it was on both levels. It was absolutely packed. They had a big downstairs also. And I guess it's only a part of the upper level now. I think Mir and I went together one year, drove my Suburban up there. It was a long trip. A little bit too far for me to do driving now, I think. So, Stan, over to you. W4KR, K1VVC.
Okay, thank you, John. K1VVC, W4KR. I'll keep it short because some of the transmission's been kind of long and we're getting a little bit late. Brian, regarding fare, I'll echo what Cliff said, because Steve told me the same thing when we were up there in mid-September. He, I originally was going to shut it down the end of the year, but he's going to hang around till the Dayton Hamvention, and then when I was there, and again this was mid-September, he was talking about maybe an auction when the whole thing is done. If he can't sell it, boy, that would be moving all that stuff would be a monumental task. I found that the best way to deal with them up there is make an offer on something, and he can say yes or no. Steve, thanks for the comment on the audio. The Anon has a 10-band equalizer in it, and I've got it. I've got it. The low cut's 150 and the high cut's 5100, and I've got it set at and you can move where you want the center of each of the 10 bands to be. I've got them set at 250, 500, 1K, 2K, and 4K, and 8K, and that's the end actually. The way I'm running it is to 250 cycle level. I'm pushing it plus 6 dB, 9 dB at 500, 12 dB at 1K, 2K, and 4K, and then I drop it back down again. So that's why it why it sounds the way it does, and I messed with this for quite a while to get it to be a little bit on the punchy side. George, if you're still listening, I'm going to kick it back to you for just a second. George, is your Valiant a 1 or a 2? George, go ahead. Okay, I guess George is not there. We'll catch him on another day. Don, I noticed that your upper side band, and I was looking like Steve was. I was watching the pan adapter. The upper side, the high side, is generating about 25% more audio than the lower side does. And I had you zeroed in, so you were pretty close to frequency to start with. So anyway, that's the scoop from here for this afternoon, guys. Take care. We will see everybody Tuesday morning. And with that, Al, to you, and good night, Charlie. Thanks much for everything. KJ4YEV in the group, W4KR.
W4KR on the net, KJ4YEV. And I was a little bit afraid today with the time change that there might be a lot of noise at 4 o'clock because the sun was higher in the air, but that wasn't the case. The signals have been good today. It's been a good net. And I believe it was Steve that was mentioning the flat baffle speaker enclosure design. That is not a new design. Western Electric and Altec Lansing both used that back in the 20s and 30s. It was convenient because it could go right behind the screen in a movie theater and not take up much depth. Of course, in the bigger theaters, they use the horn-loaded speakers, voice of the theaters and everything, but that's an old design, and it does work pretty well as long as the baffle's big enough to cancel the rear load coming off of the rear of the cone there. But there's no reason it should cost thousands of dollars, I'll say that. And John, you talked about the arrowheads. I grew up on Lake Wiley. My dad had a place on Big Allison Creek on the South Carolina side. And I used to pick up arrowheads. I've got a big collection of arrowheads that I picked up down there, so that must have been the Catawba Indian tribe that lived in that area. But I've still got them, most of them. So anyway, let's see. I'm going to pass it on to Brian, KN4R. Brian, take it away. This is KJ4YEV.
Okay, Al, very good. KJ4YEV in the group. KN4R. Well, terrific. Cliff, thank you so much for the nice update there. Sounds terrific. And my hat's off to you for driving all that way. Repair radio in Toledo and then over to Fort Wayne. So the trip to Benson about wore me out. So, but anyway, I have enjoyed today. That all the signals are just great. And hello Don and hello Bruce, by the way. And Don, I want to come see that ATD sometime because I don't think I've ever seen one operate. But And Bruce, you're sounding good up here. So that's all from here. Hope everybody has a nice one, and talk to you on Tuesday, if not before. So, Glenn, N4AK in the group. This is KN4R 73s.
Okay, Brian, KN4R in the Old Friends group, November 4 Alpha Kilo. I'll probably be operating remote from Lake Lanier on Thanksgiving, so family will be there, but we'll probably be through eating by 4 o'clock, or well, early in the morning I'll be up, yeah. On Thanksgiving morning, I should be there. This is interesting, but Brian and Al in Gastonia, if my memory serves me correctly, there used to be a surplus store or something along 85 in Gastonia, and a guy had a half-track parked out there. Is that correct? KJ4YEV N4AK?
N4AK, KJ4YEV. I don't remember a half-track, Glenn, but there was a good surplus electronics store in downtown Charlotte. It was called Surplus Electronics, and the guy was a ham. His name was Jim Cornell. He used to be on Tremont Avenue and then later moved to South Boulevard. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking about or not. And there was also one on Highway 74, which was Wilkerson Boulevard coming into Charlotte. And I don't remember the name of that one either. That was almost in downtown Charlotte. That might be the one you're thinking about, KJ4YEB.
Yeah, well, I was really thinking more about a real half-track. Brian said he just needed a half-track. And I'll tell you, there used to be a guy up along there somewhere that had a half-track, and he had it parked along the road, and the thing was in working order. So, anyway, Brian, we'll continue to look for a half-track for you. And I've enjoyed it this afternoon. In case I missed some of you fellas, a happy Thanksgiving to you. And Don, nice to have you and Bruce checking in. So, Lee, over to you. I hope everything's going well with you and Grant and the crew over your way. K4VWD and 4AK.
Okay, Glenn, thank you. N4AK, K4VWD. Well, I didn't make it to Sunday school this morning. I had stomach problems. But I never did feel bad, so I don't know about Grant. But Tom Jones's birthday was Saturday. He was 88. He and I are the same age. Let's see. In the last 30, 45 minutes, I've had some clouds develop, which is the new thing. And George, your signal increased the second time around from about S6 to S9 to about 15 over. It was kind of interesting. It's been a wonderful net, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And we got 16 in here today. And Charlie, thank you very much for doing the net. I'm going to sign out. I've got some things I need to do. So I'm going to say 7-3, God bless. And Don, I'm going to turn it over to you in Simpsonville. N4YN in the group, K4VWD. So long.
Okay. Well, fellas, I goofed up on the first round. This HCD doesn't have a volume control on it. It's got either carbon or some kind of other type of mic. And it's just an old AM Bendix radio. Some of the airplanes had them in it, some of them didn't. It's got 4 separate channels you can tune separately, and you can switch frequencies pretty quick on it. But if I don't slobber in the microphone, I don't get much audio. I seem to run about 50 watts, and I did turn my Heathkit monitor on where I can watch myself Yeah, maybe you can hear me this time. But everybody's doing good up here in Burrisville. And Charlie, I don't know who to turn it to. I missed that twice. So I'm going to turn it back to you. W4MEC and everybody. N4 YN.
4 Whiskey Delta. Boy, I could hear you good that time. The 110% improvement from the first time, so I'm glad it was something simple. Keep it short. Tell everybody if we don't catch you during the week morning, everybody have a blessed Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. Don't forget those that are not as well endowed as we are for eats and stuff. So, with that, everybody take it easy. Have a good rest of the afternoon, and hopefully all of us will get a rain that we want, Steve, and everybody else. See the river's way down from the level, so we're looking for some rain too. Everyone take care. Have a blessed Thanksgiving. This is N4WD turning it over to W4MEC.
Very good, Bruce. N4WD in the group, W4MEC. And I'll chime in with my rudimentary upper and lower sideband switch on this Heathkit Mohawk receiver, and you had a little more quality on upper sideband than you did lower, but not too bad. But you sounded a little more, just a tad better on the USB side. So anyway, Don, that is Don. Let's see, I don't have any other notes. So, and we're running late, so I was gonna do a 73 round, but about half of us has left. I will remind everybody that Lee was planning on running the net on Thursday morning, 9 o'clock on Thanksgiving. So if you're up early and not sitting down to eat a family breakfast or something, you might try and join us. Thanks for everybody that checked in. Right now, looks like this time is going to work out pretty good, and we'll look for you next Sunday at this time, and Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock. Again, thanks for everybody that checked in. The great net, 73 for now, and if anybody wants to say 73 or do some more interaction, feel free to do so. But the old friends part of the net is shutting down, so 73 is W4MEC.
Thanks, Charlie, for doing the